Hi, welcome back. Time for our men's coaches show here at Global Brew. I'm happy to be joined by the head men's basketball coach, Brian Baroni. Thanks for taking time and for doing this again this year.
Absolutely, excited.
Let's do that. So let's kind of recap things here and go back to the start, because your team started the year with 7 games in 15 days, and most of those were on the road.
Yeah, we were just sick of practicing. Let's just go hoop. That was our guys' mentality. No, in scheduling, it's just unique on how there's a lot of factors that come into scheduling. And nowadays, for a variety of reasons, ultimately it fell into a 7-game and 15-day stretch, which was tough. And I went to a few of our guys. I asked them, what are your guys' thoughts? And I mean, you have the fear of, if you don't have some success early, do you lose them? And I don't think we have a group of guys that would happen. So let's go challenge ourselves. Let's go take advantage of the opportunity that was in front of us. I thought we responded well. We were kind of revved up, and then got a little tired towards the end. And I take a lot of responsibility for that. But our guys have responded and really done a good job to start the year.
Does it set a tone? Does it kind of set things in motion when you start the year, with a couple of Big Ten teams and some blue bloods of college basketball in Indiana, Illinois, and these guys go in there and they make a nice showing in both those games. But what does that do for your team to start the year that way?
It challenges your team in a way that with excitement as well.
Yeah.
The season starts, so there's an excitement there. You're going to the assembly halls, both of them, and there's excitement there. And then you also, I thought we did a good job as a staff and a team coming away from those 2 losses at Indiana and Illinois with an understanding of why we lost, and not that we lost because it was Indiana and Illinois. I thought that was something that was a really good approach that we took in terms of, a belief and an understanding that, not that they didn't beat us, they beat us. But we helped them more than we should have, and we could have had an opportunity to come away with a win. We truly felt that. So I like that approach of our guys, and that allowed us to kind of roll into the next 3-game stretch without our heads down, but a belief and an understanding of what we are about and how we needed to respond, and we did.
Yeah, that was right where I was going next, because that I would imagine, I would assume as a coach, as a staff, to have them then respond with, and I know specifically, the kind of mood going into Terre Haute to Indiana State was, we're approaching this with work to do, right? A business trip, and they responded with back-to-back true road wins, Indiana State and Western Michigan, and then the neutral site win against Canisius. So to go on from that start and to get 3 wins, that's obviously ideal.
Yeah, I was proud of how our guys took the coaching, took their experience. I think it was after the Illinois game, there was just Brian Taylor, who you'll see here shortly, was very vocal and just like, that isn't us, we're better than that. And it was nice just to see that after that game, because we knew that we had Indiana State 2 or 3 days later. And we were strategic in trying to how we stayed kind of in an area where it was good for our bodies, it was good for our fans. So, I mean, it was a lot of travel, but it was doable travel. So a lot of thought went into that as well, and our guys really responded accordingly. And we follow the lead of our guys a lot, and that's what's really nice, to have a group of guys that we talk about trust and trust us often. And kind of got away from that a little bit a week ago, and that was on me. But it's nice to go out there with this group of guys and show that trust, and I think they really earned it the start of the season.
You mentioned Brian Taylor, who we're going to talk to in our next segment, a veteran of several years. Obviously Rayshawn Taylor, obviously Desmond Polk. When you have guys like that are willing to take ownership, not just say, hey, we're going to lead because we're seniors, but to actually take ownership, like you said, and speak up, how much does that do for you and your group?
It gives me confidence as a coach. I'm comfortable saying that. Like, I'm as good as my guys. I learned that at an early age, and from my dad. And you go get the right kind of guys that fit who you are. You try to develop them, with a genuineness. It's not always easy. They don't always agree. I don't always agree, but you try to approach it head on, and it was nice to see the development. And it's nice to see guys that have been with us for several years that have developed over the years. And it's, you kind of reference that, as a coach, and you're able to touch base with them on that. And, I think we have a lot of guys that when you look into that locker room, I know their stories. I know them firsthand. And we do our research on the guys like Brian who came in. We knew him prior. We recruited him prior. Didn't have as much opportunity last year. And the growth of both he and I, because you take responsibility as that as a coach as well, has been really nice to see his guys like that acceptance of what let's do what this team needs in this way, and me understanding, okay, I got to trust what they're very good at, and that's why they're there. Here.
A couple things that have stood out to me, and I know it's cliche, but defense, rebounding, those are going to win you games. That's been very good for your team this year. Both of those things, second in the OVC right now in scoring defense by a small margin. Also, number one in the OVC in assists. You've done a nice job in moving the ball, sharing the ball. Why have they been as good as they have?
It was a huge focus of it. We changed our defense a little bit this offseason. Wanted to take a little bit more ownership on who we're guarding. We haven't switched quite as much. We still have the versatility to do it. But we've tried to, kind of take a little bit more ownership in who we're guarding, changed our stances. We studied our defense a little bit, so we changed it a little bit accordingly to our guys, our current roster. And then the assist was a huge focus this offseason, a huge focus. Historically we've had the ability to go get a shot, and I think we still have the ability to go get a shot. But for us to kind of turn the play, having to survive on, 7, 8, 9, 10 individual playmaking shots, we want to limit that to 4 or 5 a game with more ball movement. And I think that our guys really bought into that this off season, and when we were successful, the ball was moving. I think we only had 10 or 11 assists last night, but the ball was moving, and I thought we created a lot for each other because of that. And they bought into that. They enjoy playing with one another, and they enjoy seeing one another's success.
You brought North Florida and Ball State both in the non-conference season. Those are two teams that I think fans know. They're two very good teams. Was it important to you to try to bring some of those type of teams, challenge your team at home as well as on the road?
Yeah, it's a balance, and this is multi-years out, right? Yep. So we were at Ball State last year. We knew we had a couple, kind of heavy hitters to start the season. You're just trying to balance that level of, gaining confidence, testing yourself, giving yourself a chance for success. And full disclosure, I didn't know North Florida was going to be. I knew they were going to be the style they played.
Sure.
And then they go in and beat South Carolina and Georgia Tech, and you're sitting there looking at, I'm going to blame the assistants, right? That's what you got to, I didn't sign off on anything. But no, it's nice to have that challenge. And then you look at it down the line, next year we'll return that. So you anticipate trying to couple that up with maybe, a Florida team or a Southern team when you play another, high-level team, as we did with like in Indiana and Illinois in that trip. So it's thought out years in advance in trying to balance what your style of play is and a lot of little things.
Coach, we'll get back here in just a few minutes. We'll talk a little bit about what's coming up and certainly the OVC season. We're going to get to Brian Taylor, but thanks for coming out.
Sounds good. All right. Good to be here.
Brian Taylor's coming up here from Global Brew. We are joined now by Brian Taylor II. He is a junior from St. Louis, Missouri, out of DeSmet High School. Came to SIUE after originally starting his college career at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Cousin of Rayshawn Taylor, and as Coach said, recruited here originally, so you had some familiarity with SIUE, but what kind of brought you back home after spending your first season at Milwaukee?
After spending that first year up there in Milwaukee, I made the decision, obviously, to hit the portal. Was just looking for a different style, different change in things. And when Coach B had kind of just hit me back up, it was just one of the first people that actually had reached out to me. And when I had talked to him, it just kind of brought that familiarity back when I had first talked to him when I had got out of high school. So after speaking to him after I had got out of high school and spending that year up there, and then for him to be the first person to call me and to give me the spiel of how he felt about my game and the expectations he had for me, I was locked in as soon as I heard his voice. So that's kind of just set it from there.
Coach talks a lot about belief and trust. He mentioned that already here tonight. Is that kind of what you felt, that there was a different belief and a trust coming from Coach and from this program?
Definitely. Like I said, like on the phone, like he was just one of them people that just kept it 100 with me. He was truthful about everything. He was upfront, honest, and he just told me like black and white, just like what to expect, what he needed from me, and the goals that he had for the team and the expectation of where he wanted to take the school and everything. And so that was something that I wanted to be a part of, and now I'm here. Yeah.
So last year, played in a lot of games, didn't start a lot of games. The minutes were a little bit down. Now into a starting role, and I feel like just watching you and your game, you have absolutely just taken that starting role, that kind of increased playing time, and run with it. Like, what's been the kind of the catalyst? What's been the reason for that?
Like after you don't play for so long, you got a lot of tension, a lot of urge built up, and it just, once I was given the opportunity and I had everything in motion and my family was okay, I had the family from SIUE that was giving me support, locked in on academics, that off the court living, I think that played a huge part in it. And so once I kind of had everything in play, it was just more so me just putting my head down and kind of just taking advantage of the opportunity. And so once it was given to me, I just kind of took it and run, and just been working hard ever since.
It's, and obviously I've not seen yet this year in the OVC. It's hard for me to imagine a more dynamic group than yourself, Ray, and Dez, as far as experience, ball handling, everything you can bring, and the versatility that you three have. I have to imagine that it's fun for you guys as well to have that kind of backcourt.
It is, and at the same time, like, you never really think about it, but like, I actually like the guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a group of people I'm out there just playing basketball with. I gotta deal with them shooting, gotta deal with Ray just out there doing a bunch of step back threes and stuff. Like, nah, I'm actually expecting him to make the shot, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely expecting Dez to contribute on the defensive end of the floor like me and him did the other night. So, like you said, having those guys next to me on our side, like, yeah, we're definitely expecting to do some big things this year.
There was an interesting moment in Western Michigan against Canisius. They got out to a quick start. I think it was 12-2. Coach Baroni calls a timeout early in the first half. And from that point on, you went on like a 27-2 run. What clicked during that timeout? What allowed you guys to say, you know what, we're going to lock in right now and go from here?
I think one of the best things that we have on this team is our ability to understand how we respond to certain things, especially like your actions, but at the same time, like how you say stuff to certain people. One of the things that, like you said, when that situation happened, like we didn't come back to the huddle and we would just on each other's head, like, what you doing wrong, this, and that. It was more so like, stay calm, we understand the situation, okay, cool. Let's figure out what we need to do, and then go back out there and execute the game plan. So
that's to me, that's a sign of obviously an experienced and mature team, but a very thoughtful team as well.
Yeah, I think that was. Coach B, he the one who got them guys around me. He went out and recruited people. Like you said, one of the things that he wanted to focus on was the characteristics that he had in the locker room, not only just the ability to play basketball. So just being able to bond with those guys off the court and just really get to know them, know their style of play, communicate, like, it's a time for real.
So you've been through a year in the OVC as well. Do you think the OVC is ready for what SIUE can bring this year?
No.
What is it about maybe some of the newcomers that you like on this team?
I like the fight that we got on this team. If you look at all the guys that's on the roster, You got a lot of people that's probably been hurt in the past. A lot of people in the same situation that I was that didn't get a lot of playing minutes, family situation, all different type of stuff. And just kind of everybody just coming together and just like, we all 14 guys in one room fighting for the same goal. And so once you just got that in the picture, it's like, it's really easy to go out there and just play with everything I got every game.
Knowing what you know and been through an OVC season, how much success can this team have in the OVC this year?
We're gonna be good. I think we have a chance to do some really big things. Competition level is definitely there, but with everything that we have in that locker room, I think there wouldn't be no challenge that we shouldn't be able to tackle head on.
You mentioned having your family around you. Is that something that was important coming back here, or has that just been kind of an advantage that you've had coming back, playing essentially in your hometown?
When I was coming back, my family was one of the biggest things that was in my decision making. And then when I stepped onto SIU campus, you kind of just realize like, I got more than just the people that's living at my home. Like, I got thousands of people walking around with red and white on that's actually showing real love, care, and support for what we got going on and all building in the same direction. So.
Boy, and it's I can't wait to see it as we get into that conference season, because you know it's going to just fill up in there.
I can't wait to see everybody in the gym. I've been waiting.
It's going to be great. Brian, we appreciate it. It's been fun to watch you this year kind of grow into that starting role, and there's a lot more to come. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming out. Thank you. Brian Taylor, the second with us. Back with the Cougars head coach, Brian Baroni, as we have one final segment here at Global Brew for our SIUE Cougar Coaches Show. Coach, when you listen to Brian Taylor talk about what he likes about this team and talk about, you know, that specific situation I was talking about against Canisius, and just, as I said, it just sounds like a thoughtful and experienced and mature team. It feels to me when I hear that, right, like it's kind of a culmination of what's been building here in SIUE.
You know, it's nice to hear as a coach. You're always trying to do the family atmosphere. You're all, like you preach it, you try to live it. I do genuinely feel. I think what he said was genuine. Mm-hmm. You know, we had the team over to Thanksgiving a week ago, whatever it was, and you know, you say what you're thankful for. And there was a genuineness about what they were thankful for. There was you know, my wife and I are very appreciative of the sacrifice that these guys make for our family. You know, this new age, it is what it is. And for a group of guys to believe in one another gives my family an opportunity to, you know, be in a great community, be able to do what I'm very fortunate and love to do. And I do think there's a genuineness about what he said. So I believe it. And, you know, you always try to kind of say it, and we do a good job of it. But this year, there's just been a sense of that in a really good way that we're going to need, because it's not always going to be easy moving forward.
We talked a little bit about what the schedule has been like. You've got a non-Division I coming in right before conference play. I know there is, you know, that's not on accident. So kind of talk about what that, you know, what goes into that is part of obviously the scheduling model.
Yeah, it's just you have an opportunity. Scheduling, it's hard to find games. It sounds kind of, you know, is it really? Well, you have to balance out, you know, your 31 game schedule around your conference, around the other conferences that you're going to play, around finals, and around some other factors of what you need for, you know, some parameters for your department. And I think when you're starting to, you know, piece a schedule together, you kind of start running out of games in teams to play, because, you know, if I'm playing on the 19th and you know, you have to have two teams completely match up. And then with us, and, you know, typically you play some teams in, you know, whether there's a Summit, the Horizon League, the MAC. Well, they have final schedule, but they also have conference schedule starting differently than our conference starts, the Missouri Valley. So that eliminates usually a week or two, the end of November, the beginning of December. So when you're trying to find games to schedule, then you have to go to potentially other leagues, and not, you know, kind of like we would as if we were going to an Indiana and Illinois. Yep. And, you know, so we had an opportunity, you know, we have Eureka on the 15th. They do some things where we also want to do style of play. They press. They do a lot of cutting, and I think that's going to be really good for us coming out of. We have finals this week, and we come out of there, so we're not going to be in the gym all week with commencement as well. And there's a lot of factors that go into a game on that day, coming out of finals, and then 4 days later you start conference on the road with two huge games.
So I'll ask you this, and I ask obviously Coach Sam this on the women's side, because it is a different schedule, because normally you're not going to get into conference play until maybe the last week in December. So you're either rushing back from Christmas to try to get that 28th, 29th in, whatever it is. This year you've got the 2 games that come early, and then you've got a little bit of a longer break.
Yeah.
What does that do for you, the way the setup is now?
It stresses you out because, is how happy is Santa going to be coming up here in the next few weeks, going into Christmas? But you always got to separate the family from that. And then you have another, I think, 10, darn near 11-day stretch.
Right.
Some teams schedule a game on the 28th, 29th, and from that. We thought about that, but then there's a kind of a dead period in the other divisions that, whether it's a Eureka, an AI, Division II, Division III, that they can't play during that time. Some teams can't. So it's a little daunting. It's just a different kind of, logistically, we have to figure out some things. So we took a few days off this week, today and tomorrow, to simulate a little bit of how we're going to respond after a few days off. We're going to take probably 4 days off after Christmas, and know a lot about our team on the road. I like going on the road for 2 games at Little Rock. That's going to be a predicted top of the league matchup.
Yep.
And then SEMO is always a battle at SEMO. And then we go into Christmas, and you're able to turn it off. I want our guys to turn it off. I want to be a family. I want to be able to spend time with my family. Go over to St. Charles and walk around the brick road and get some grandma's cookies and all that kind of jazz. And it's an exciting time of year because now you're in the thick of it.
It is exciting, and I think for SIUE, obviously the last couple of years, we talk about when you're playing Little Rock to open the schedule, it's a top of the conference matchup, and that is a testament to what your team has done coming into this year, right? It is ramped up those expectations like previous years, quite frankly, weren't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's part of what we've been building.
Sure.
And when you build something the way that this group of guys has built something, more importantly, the community has built. I mean, we had a tailgate again the other day, and we have just a group of people that have really collectively come together to support our team. The administration's been phenomenal in their kind of excitement to be supporters, huge supporters for us. And then it gives you the opportunity to set the tone right away in conference, with a certain level of expectation.
What does this team do differently, or what can it do differently to get over that hump, to get to be one of those top 4 teams at the end of the season that's talking about a bye in the OVC tournament? What can be different about this year's version?
I think that you have to stay in the moment. As much as and it's really been now in college athletics, you got to appreciate the now more than ever. And if it gets daunting, or if you get ahead of yourself too much, you can start playing the what if game. You can start trying to put a puzzle together that's like you're missing 5 or 6 pieces no matter what. So as a coach, you're trying to always look ahead. And I think this team stay consistent in the moment. Have a business-like attitude, appreciate and enjoy the wins, understand what the process is of why we're getting the what we would expect of wins, and then just do it again. The more we can stay in the moment is and not look too far ahead, and that can be if you don't have success over a weekend, don't get caught up on that too much. What's the process to win the next game? And if we can do that better than we. I think teams that become consistent in that area can have success in this league.
Well, I certainly look forward to OBC play. Look forward to Sunday, 1 o'clock, First Community Arena, Eureka, that final game before you get into Christmas break. And, well, first the OBC season and then in Christmas break. But we'll do this again in January here at Global Brew. I appreciate you coming out tonight.
This is great. Thanks for having me.
Cougars head coach Brian Baroni, and that'll do it for our first edition of our coaches show here at Global Brew. We're back here on January 13th.